Warning, there are people pretending to be me in the comments. This is what a comment from me looks like. Notice that the name is spelled perfectly, and notice the border around the name. That's how you know it's from me. You can also click on my name to make sure you actually go to my channel to double check. And this is what a comment from an imposter will look like. It has weird characters in the name or comment, and it's usually going to ask you to add them on WhatsApp or Telegram. I don't have WhatsApp or Telegram, and I would never ask you to add me on there. Alright, so please be careful, use your common sense, and now let's get back to the video. Hey, how's it going, GPU heads? Thanks for clicking on my video. Seb Heslo here. And guys, today in this video we're gonna be doing a deep dive on the 3080 LHR in terms of mining, which this is actually not it. This is a 3080 Ti that's gonna be coming up in a later video in a few days on the channel, but just had this handy. Anyway, we're going to be testing the 3080 in terms of what is the highest hash rate you can find, what is the best efficiency, how much power does it pull, what is the actual profitability of mining on a 3080 LHR currently, and what are the overclock settings, but a little bit more on that later. Now, we're going to be testing all of those things on Ethereum, Ethreum Classic, Ravencoin, Firo, Ergo, as well as Flux. And now do keep in mind this 3080 is an LHR version, which means it is hash rate limited on Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. Basically any coin that uses the Eth-hash algorithm. And this is the third video in a series I'm doing like this, where I'm doing a complete and full review in terms of mining on all of the current 30 series GPUs from NVIDIA, as well as the GTX 16 series as well. That's gonna be coming up on the channel. And now, before we get into the actual testing and the results, I wanna say that if after watching this video you do feel like this is the GPU for you and you wanna buy one, I will be leaving some affiliate links in the video description for some of my favorite versions of this GPU. And now, of course, full disclosures, those are affiliate links, which means that if you do make a purchase using those links, the channel does get a small commission at no extra cost to you, basically. And now just quickly, I want to mention about overclock settings. Now, I will be showing you my overclock settings in this video, but just keep in mind that those overclock settings are for my GPU, and while they might be close, they're probably not going to be perfect for your GPU, because each GPU is unique and needs individual overclock settings. But you don't have to worry, because I've actually made a whole video guide on how to find the perfect overclock settings for your specific GPU, no matter what coin you're mining. So I'll leave a link to that up in the card there, as well as down in the description. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's hop on over to the computer and let's test this 3080 for mining. Alright, so we are over at the computer and we're gonna start by having a look at mining Ethereum / Ethereum Classic, because of course Ethereum Classic, they basically use the same mining algorithm, which means overclock settings, hash rates, efficiencies, and everything like that will be exactly the same for both Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. And now, just before we have a little look here, some of you guys were interested in seeing, you know, the GPU-Z information about the GPU basically. So here you can see I have the Gigabyte Vision 3080 LHR version, and you can see my memory type is Micron on this GPU. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's see what the hash rate we can get on this GPU is while mining at completely stock settings. Alright, so we are up and mining Ethereum on completely stock settings here, and we are using the latest version of T-Rex Miner, which does have that 74% unlock feature in terms of Ethereum hash rate. Now, what I did notice before we get into it here is that the LHR was actually triggered, like the limiter was triggered with completely stock settings, and it had to lower the unlock feature down to 73% from 74%. But now it seems to be steady, holding at 73% unlock. So we are getting around, well, between like 64 to 64.5 mega hash or so. It's bouncing around a bit, as it always does on Ethereum on LHR GPUs. And of course that is with no power limiting, so we're getting around 310 watts or so being pulled, which gives us an efficiency of just above 200 kilohashes per watt. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's start power limiting with stock clocks and see what the best efficiency we can get at stock clocks is. Alright, so the best efficiency I could find at stock clocks was at 55% power limit, where we're pulling just about 202 watts or so, which is giving us about 62.5 mega hash for an efficiency of 308, 309 kilo hash per watt, which is pretty decent actually for an LHR GPU. But now let's put power limit back to 100% and let's start overclocking this GPU instead and see what hash rates we get. Alright, so you can see the best overclock settings I was able to find on the screen here. And basically that is giving us around 74 to 75 mega hash at around 291 watts. Like, the wattage and the hash rate kind of moves around a little bit when mining ETH on these LHR cards, as I said before. But basically it seems that the average is around 292 or something, and average hash rate around 75, I'm gonna call it. But let's try to power limit now with these overclockings in place and see what the best efficiency we can get is. Alright, so the best efficiency that I could find while overclocked was at around 65% power limit, which, well, hash rate's moving around a little bit, but it was kind of averaging around 74 mega hash at 239 watts, which gives us an efficiency of 310 or so kilo hash per watt. Now there's one more thing I want to try, which is to use locked core clock instead of power limit. So I'll do that and let's see what we get. Alright, so we actually got quite a bit better results by locking core clock. So we're getting around 75 or so mega hash at around 229 watts or so, which is great. So yeah, that's it for Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. Now let's move on to Ravencoin and Firo. Alright, so when it comes to Ravencoin and Firo, what's good and convenient for us is that they use very similar algorithms. CorePow for Ravencoin and FiroPow for Firo. And they are basically both just slight variations of ProgPow, which means that everything from hash rates, overclock settings, efficiencies, wattages, everything will be basically exactly the same for both Ravencoin and Firo, which means I only have to do this for one of those coins and the results will be the exact same for both. So basically saving both your time and my time. So all the results that I will get now with Ravencoin will be the exact same for Firo as well. And so with that said, here we are, up and mining Ravencoin / Firo, right? And we're getting around 44.26 mega hash at 330 watts. And that is with completely stock settings across the board. And that gives us an efficiency of around 134 or so kilo hashes per watt. But now let's power limit this and see what the best efficiency we can get with stock clocks is. Alright, so just with stock clocks, the best efficiency I could find was at 68% power limit, which gives us 43 mega hash, pretty much exactly at 251 watts for a efficiency of 171 kilo hashes per watt, which is fine for Ravencoin. Not great, but not terrible either. But yeah, now let's put power limit back to 100% and let's start overclocking. Alright, so the best hash rate that I could possibly get while overclocking at full power limit is 51 mega hash, and that is at 321 watts drawn, which gives us an efficiency of around 159 kilo hashes per watt. But now let's power limit with overclocks in place and see what the best efficiency we can get is while overclocked. Alright, so the best efficiency that I was able to find by power limiting while overclocked was at 77% power limit, which gives us just above 50 mega hash at 284 watts for an efficiency of 176 kilo hashes per watt, which isn't as efficient as our 3060, but it's on par with the efficiency of our 3070 Ti basically. But I still want to try to lock the core clock instead of power limiting to see if we can get better efficiency that way. So yeah, let's try and see what we get. Alright, so basically I'm not able to get any sort of better performance or efficiency by using locked core clock. I'm getting just slightly worse hash rate at the same wattage. You know, you can see here 284 watts, but just below 50 mega hash instead of just above 50 mega hash basically. So better to just use regular overclocking and power limiting for Ravencoin or Firo than locking the core clock. But with that out of the way, let's move on to Ergo. Alright, so we are up and mining Ergo, and just with all stock settings we are getting 189 mega hash a second at 257 watts for an efficiency of 736 kilohash per watt, which is pretty decent just right out of the box like this. So let's start power limiting. Alright, so just by power limiting on stock clocks, we were able to get, actually, we got an increase in hash rate up to 196.6 mega hash at just 159 watts for an efficiency of 1.24 mega hash per watt, which is really good in terms of efficiency. But now let's put power limit back to 100% and let's start overclocking. Alright, so with overclocks in place, the highest possible hash rate that I was able to get was 227.4 mega hash at 287 watts basically. So yeah, now let's try to power limit with overclocks in place and see what we can get. Alright, so the best efficiency that I've been able to find while overclocked was at 65% power limit, where we are getting 231.3 mega hash at 239 watts for an efficiency of just below 1 mega hash per watt. So, you know, efficiency a little bit worse than just with stock clocks and power limiting, but hash rate definitely higher. Now, I couldn't power limit any further than this. If I did, the hash rate just took a dive off a cliff basically. So yeah, that's the best efficiency I was able to find while overclocked, but I am going to try with locking the core clock instead of using power limit, and let's see if we can get better efficiency that way. Alright, so locking the core clock, we were able to get a lot better efficiency than just regular overclocking. However, we did lose out on a little bit of hash rate. So we are at 213 mega hash now, running at 177 watts, which gives us an efficiency of just 1.2 mega hash per watt or so. So yeah, that is basically it for Ergo. Now let's move on to Flux. Alright, so we are up and mining Flux, and just with stock settings, everything, we're getting around 94 solutions per second at 343 watts. So yeah, that gives us an efficiency of about 0.27 solutions per second per watt basically. So yeah, now let's start power limiting with stock clocks in place and see what the best efficiency we can get is. Alright guys, so the best efficiency that I was able to find with stock clocks was at 60% power limit, where we're getting around 79 solutions per second at 222 watts, which gives us around 0.356 solutions per second per watt basically. So let's put power limit back to 100% and let's start overclocking. Alright, so overclocking did not see that big of a difference in hash rate. We gained about maybe 2 solutions per second or so, but for some reason it did lower the wattage a little bit, so down to maybe like 333 watts, which gives us a slightly better efficiency at 0.29 solutions per second per watt basically. So I'm gonna try to power limit with the overclocks in place, and let's see if we can get a better efficiency that way. Okay, so with overclocks in place, power limiting down to 60% power limit got me the best efficiency. So we're getting 0.365 solutions per second per watt basically, and that is giving us like a hash rate of 81 or so solutions per second at 222 watts. So I'm just quickly going to try locking the core clock as well. And yeah, let's see if that gets us any better results. Alright guys, so locking the core clock, I basically wasn't able to get anything that was close to as good as what we could get with just regular overclocking. So I'm not even gonna bother putting it on the spreadsheet because it was just worse in every way. But yeah, that is it for testing all the coins. Now let's have a look at our results in the spreadsheet. Alright, so here we are. I've got all of the values that we found during our testing in the spreadsheet here. And of course I will link this spreadsheet in the video description so you can go and check out all the numbers yourselves. But yeah, just gonna run through it a bit quickly here. So Ethereum, you know, and Ethereum Classic, really straightforward. Just, you know, put the memory as high as it goes, basically lock your core clock, and that will give you both the highest possible hash rate at the best efficiency possible, which is great. Ravencoin and Firo, basically we saw highest possible hash rate was 51 mega hash. But if you just are willing to sacrifice 0.9 mega hash, you will gain so much in terms of efficiency. You will be at peak efficiency basically for this card, which was 176 kilo hashes per watt. So that is of course totally worth it in my opinion. Yeah, then let's move on to Ergo, where we saw basically best possible efficiency was with stock clocks and power limiting all the way down to 43%, which we saw on the 3070 Ti as well. That was the same thing. The best efficiency was at stock clocks with power limits. But then best possible hash rate was actually while power limiting with overclocks in place. So that gave us 230.6 mega hash at 239 watts. So not great efficiency there, but definitely decent at, you know, just under a mega hash per watt. But kind of the sweet spot we found was with locked core clock. The best possible efficiency I was able to find, it was like 1.2 mega hash per watt, and that was giving us 213 mega hash at 177 watts. So that was kind of as I said, a sweet spot of, like, you know, high enough hash rate but decent efficiency. You know, just slightly worse efficiency than we got with your stock clocks and power limiting. So yeah, pretty happy there. And Flux, you know, best hash rate we got was 96 solutions per second, and best efficiency was just power limiting with the overclocks in place. I would say probably that is also the sweet spot in my opinion. Like, yeah, you're sacrificing 15 solutions, but you're gaining, I mean, quite a bit in terms of efficiency. Like, you're at 111 watts less, and you're just losing 15 solutions. Maybe you could argue for, well, somewhere in between there might be your personal choice, but for me that would be my personal choice. So what I've done is I've plugged all of these values into whattomine. So let's look at profitability for one of these GPUs and see where we're at on all these coins. And basically most profitable is gonna be Ethereum at $4.63 per day profit after electricity. And electricity cost I just put to the standard 10 cents per kilowatt hour. And second place we got Ravencoin at $3.83 per day. Then we got Firo right behind at $3.53 per day. We got Ergo at $3.52 per day. So basically Ergo is just slightly less profitable than Firo. And then finally we got Flux at just $3.19 per day. So is the 3080 LHR not a great card for Flux? Well, let's see, because as I said, I'm gonna be, you know, comparing all of the findings I get from all these different GPUs at the end of this month. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, just moving down the list, we got Ethreum Classic at around $2 after electricity. And yeah, then use some other random ETH hash coins. But yeah, that is basically it for the 3080 LHR. So I'm just gonna end the video here. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it one of these. I'd really appreciate it. And what you gotta do now is you gotta click on that next video on the screen. Because this video is over, you can also click the picture on my face to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, go click on that next video and I'll see you there. Goodbye. Goodbye, bye bye.